Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're having a very positive day. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to effectively lose body fat as a 40-year-old or older female. Okay, now the reason why I'm kind of putting age on that is, I guess, to be more specific about this, it's how to effectively lose body fat when you are menopausal. Okay, the only reason why I've said 40 years old is typically because that is the age where a female will become menopausal. It can happen earlier, it can happen later, but I'm just putting an age on it, just in a sort of average sense, I guess. So, first thing I want to premise this video with is that losing body fat from a thermodynamic standpoint doesn't change when you become menopausal. The laws of thermodynamics still apply, as in a calorie deficit still applies. The only thing that really changes is that calorie deficit can somewhat become more difficult to adhere to. Okay, obviously, physiological, you're going through changes, and these changes can make a calorie deficit more difficult to adhere to. Your body doesn't look or feel the same way, which can then give the impression that you are holding more body fat than you are, and then weight fluctuations can become a little bit more stagnant as well, or a little bit more all over the shop. Digestion takes a hit, hormonally you're in decline as well. Your body's lean mass is in decline as well at the same time, without making it sound too fucking negative. There are a few considerations that we need to take into account here when it comes to not just how you visually look, but how you feel and how you perform, which are all relevant in my opinion when it comes to that calorie deficit. So what I want to do is go over 5 sort of areas, I guess, that are, or 5 considerations that you need to account for if you are perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal, that you should probably try and include within your lifestyle if you're looking to either like maintain your physique where it's at, or lose body fat and even maintain muscle mass, that kind of thing. So the first area that I want to get into is the diet side of things. Now, as I said, a calorie deficit still applies. Okay, so if you are somewhat menopausal, you're in the post, you're in the thick of it, a calorie deficit, as I said, and you're looking to lose body fat, calorie deficit still applies here. Okay, those rules don't change. What does change is your body's demand for certain macronutrients or micronutrients. Okay, now without getting like too overly into this and making it incredibly overwhelming, I want to make this as simple for you to follow as possible and for you to crack on with as possible. Okay, so rather than kind of getting into the nitty gritty of micronutrition and you listening to this thinking, Ross, you've just made things a lot more overwhelming, all I'm going to say is eat more protein and eat more fiber. Okay, a female when she's of reproductive age can somewhat get away with a like moderate amount of protein. As soon as you become menopausal and estrogen, progesterone are in decline, alongside testosterone as well, might I add, your body's lean mass is also in decline as well at the same time. Okay, so it's not just more difficult to maintain muscle if you're not on top of your diet, you're not on top of your strength training, things like that. Things are actually going to maintain muscle mass. You're going to lose muscle as you get older. Okay, so if we're not just talking about longevity here in the sense of having healthy muscles, bones, posture. Yes, from a health standpoint, protein is very important for helping your body basically stay intact, let's say, lack of a better phrase there. But also from a visual standpoint and an aesthetic standpoint, it's quite important as well. As I said, like let's just say hypothetically, you maintain the amount of body fat from reproductive age into menopausal age, but as you get older, your muscle starts to decline. Even though you've still got the same body fat level or percentage, you are going to look visually leaner when you have got more muscle. Okay, there is more muscle pressing against the skin, so you look more athletic, more toned, more defined. You just look leaner as such. Okay, so keeping on top of maintaining that muscle mass is, yes, important for health, but also if you're looking and wanting to feel more toned, defined as you get older, keeping on top of protein to help maintain that muscle mass is only going to be beneficial. Okay, so you could have probably gotten away with aiming for like 1 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight before. Now you should be aiming for somewhere in the region of 1.8 to 2.2 grams per pound. Okay, I know that sounds like quite a lot, especially if you were eating fuck all protein before, but that really is what you should be aiming for. And then there's fiber as well on top of that, okay? When you get into menopause, like, I mean, I don't need to mansplain this to you, but digestion can take a hit, okay? And as progesterone and estrogen have come down, your body's fluid balance is somewhat alt pot, let's just say. Fluid balance is deregulated. So things like bowel movements can become a little bit lackluster just because there's not as much fluid going throughout the body, or it's being held in different places, things like that. So yeah, that whole process, a little bit more fiber going in. This is probably something that the average female isn't getting enough of anyway. However, aiming somewhere in the region of like 40 grams, a little bit more than that, 40 to 50 grams, will help keep on top of bowel movements. It'll also help you keep satiated as well on top of that, because obviously you're going to be eating a little bit more starchy carbs, but more importantly, you're going to be eating more fruit, more veg. So yeah, the diet side of things, higher protein, 1.8 to 2.2 grams per pound of current body weight, or lean mass, let's just say. And then about somewhere in the region of 40 to 50 grams of fiber, just to help keep on top of, yes, longevity with your body, but also the aesthetics, looking tone defined, and then keeping on top of gut health and digestion, bowel movements, that kind of thing. Now, as we get into the training side of things, okay, I'm a very big believer that women should be training exactly the same as men. But one thing I will say is when you get of menopausal age, your recovery capabilities start to decline. Women have much higher recovery capabilities than men, so they can sustain higher amounts of volume, intensity, and be fine with it. Whereas us men, we could do the same amount of volume, etc., as some women might do, and we'll fucking spit our dunny out about it and have a wee cry. We just won't recover as efficiently enough. And when your hormones start to decline, that recovery capability starts to decline with it. So in terms of volume, if we're looking at weight training, which should be prioritized 110% as you become menopausal and you get to that age, strength training should definitely be prioritized above any other form of exercise. I don't care if you don't enjoy being in the gym. Doing some form of strength training doesn't have to be in the gym. It could be body weighted exercise, it could be whole weighted exercise, it can be calisthenics, some form of strength training, whatever, just to keep on top of, again, healthy bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, etc., etc. And then if we're looking at the visual standpoint, it's going to make you look more toned, athletic, defined as well on top of that. So having a lower volume, higher intensity sort of approach here, and just really prioritizing strength work above all else. So I don't know, it's still a misconception that women need to be doing like lots of sets and lots of reps to look more toned and things like that. We are slowly moving away from that, which I love to see. But if you are in a position where in the past you've still been doing heaps of sets and very high rep sets and very low rest periods, and you've been training like 5 or 6 times a week, I would cut that down, aim for 3 to 4, maybe 5 if the amount of volume per session is lower as well. And just focus on 2 to 3 sets and get strong as fuck. Really try and focus on maintaining as much strength as possible, giving yourself adequate rest in between your sets so you can really maintain that muscle mass. And yeah, visually and aesthetically it'll have a benefit too. Third point I want to get into is cardio. Because yeah, cardio is very, very important for heart health, cognitive ability, which is also very important when you become menopausal. Also, if we're looking from a fat loss perspective as well, you can increase quite a bit you can increase your calorie deficit through cardio, okay? That's a no-brainer. One thing I will say is that when you become menopausal, you have an increase in visceral fat. So it's like this sort of underneath the skin in the sort of lower belly button area around there. So like menopause belly, that's typically what that is. And it's basically just kind of, yes, some body fat being held there. There is a bit of fluid. High intensity interval training has been shown time and time again to really help target that area. Now, obviously you can't spot reduce body fat, and there are no specific exercises that are going to help you reduce body fat in a certain area. However, how your body oxidizes body fat can depend on the type, where you are in your life cycle. Let's first say that, but also in the type of exercise you're doing as well. So it's not so much spot reducing fat, and it's more just about how your body processes the body fat, I guess is the most simple way of really kind of breaking it down there. So it's not just a case of, oh, if you do heaps of ab crunches or fucking bicep curls or whatever, like those, you can lose the body fat in these specific areas. It's more just a case of, right, we have one form of exercise, whether it's on a Stairmaster, a rower, a cross trainer, a bike, whatever the fuck, and your body, and you do it in a high intensity interval training fashion. So let's say you're doing 10 to 15 minutes of cardio, you're doing 30 seconds, 110% max effort, and then 60 seconds at about 50% effort. You do that over the space of 10 to 15 minutes, where your body basically loses the body fat, or how it oxidizes it will come more so from that lower midsection area. So menopausal women that I've worked with, if they're short on time, they still want to be getting some cardio done, this is typically what I'll give them. Yes, the recovery capabilities have come down, but the amount of cardio that you'd have to do in a low intensity steady state, like just, doing 30 to 40 minutes on a Stairmaster or whatever, and getting the heart rate to 120 to 130 beats per minute, it will typically lead to the same, as long as their calorie deficit is on point, it'll still lead to the same results from a fat loss perspective, but more from everywhere on their physique. Whereas with this high intensity interval training, we can somewhat kind of lock in for a more prioritized area, which is that midsection and lower back area as well on top of that. So if the amount of time they have available to dedicate towards cardio is an issue, if they're looking to get a leaner midsection, lower back, and I don't know, a lot of people just can't be fucked doing like heaps of cardio. So I personally would rather do 10 to 15 minutes rather than 30 to 40 minutes and just go balls to the wall. I would definitely opt for high intensity interval training. Just do it in the sort of cycle that I mentioned before. Fourth point is prioritizing adequate sleep and proper sleep management. Now this is easier said than done because yes, as you reach menopausal age, cognitive ability starts to decline, and alongside that, there's obviously night sweats. Your body somewhat overheats during the night. Sleeping, just general high quality sleep can become more of an issue. So it's really easy for me to sit on my arse and just say, get more sleep. If sleep is an issue, what you should be doing is at least trying to make the sleep that you are getting as high quality as possible. Okay, so that hour before you go to bed, no listening to screamo music, no having domestics with your partner. Just spend that hour before you get to bed winding down, chilling out, so when your head hits the pillow, you literally just drift off and fall asleep. And try and keep your bedtime and your wake up time as consistent as possible. Our body likes consistency, whether it's going to bed, waking up, times that we eat, times that we weight train. The more consistent we can keep pretty much all variables when possible and when realistic, the better, and our body will reward us for that in terms of just better digestion, more energy throughout the day. It'll know when to give you energy and when to make you feel like a bag of dicks, in a nutshell. If you're waking up at the same time, typically, and you're going to bed at the same time, typically, your body, your brain's very, very smart, and it will know, right, I know this fucker's away to go to bed in like 45 minutes, so I'm going to start closing down now. Or it'll be a case of, right, I know this fucker wakes up at 5 a.m, so I'm going to start, kind of waking him up and getting the lights on around 15 minutes beforehand. That is obviously just a very sort of vague generic example there, but you get my drift. So keeping your bedtime and your wake up time is going to help with overall energy throughout the day, but also just performance in the gym, adherence to a diet, things like that. Stress management is a little bit, I guess, easier in a way. Again, we all have different methods in terms of stress management, but your body is hormonally in decline and it will hold on to that stress. It will become a lot more inflamed quicker and for a longer duration. It will hold on to water for a longer duration as well. Bowel movements will take a bigger hit. Digestion in general will take a bigger hit if you are physically stressed, emotionally, mentally stressed, and you're not doing anything about it. So, in terms of what gives us stress, it's obviously very person dependent. If you've got fucking bills to pay, get them paid. If you need to have an awkward talk with your partner, have the awkward talk. Just, fuck me, whatever is giving you stress right now, just deal with it so you can get it put to bed, you can get better sleep, and your body will just feel a little bit more rested for it. And lastly, and arguably more importantly, I don't know if that's really fair to say, it's probably one of the more beneficial ones to go over is supplementation. I'm a big believer that supplementation isn't the be all and end all. It very much is the cherry on top when it comes to proper nutrition, proper exercise, proper lifestyle habits, that kind of thing. For most cases, when it comes to menopause, I would say that it's pretty much a non-negotiable. Even if you are someone who isn't like exercising and isn't on point with your diet, including some supplementation is going to see drastic improvements with just your physique, but also how you think, you feel, you perform on a day-to-day basis. So first one to go over is magnesium biglycinate. In a nutshell, your sleep will improve, your stress management will improve, your cognitive ability will improve, your memory, your brain fog, that will start to improve, and recovery capabilities as well from training will improve on top of that. Next is taurine. Without getting overly wanky about what taurine is, the benefits it'll give you is, from a mood perspective, it will reduce things like, well, it's been shown to reduce things like depression and anxiety in menopausal women. It can improve some kind of metabolic stressors, let's just say. So things like insulin resistance has been shown to improve that. We have an improvement in estrogen synthesis, where as estrogen and progesterone have come somewhat down, it's declined quite rapidly as you go into menopause. That's also an improvement that we're looking to make. And it can also reduce oxidative stress. So again, this is another thing where your body, as I said before, things like cortisol, just stress in general, your body holds on to stress, cortisol, more significantly than it would when you're of reproductive age. So including the supplementation, as you physiologically get into a position where your body's holding on to that stress a little bit more, is going to help your body get rid of it, which is a very simple way of just putting it without getting overly wanky. But that's a supplement I absolutely would include. It's an amino acid, so it's really good for you. Even if you're not menopausal, it's got its benefits. But yeah, magnesium, taurine, definitely two. I would say probably have the biggest improvement from a mood perspective or a mental, emotional sort of perspective. They obviously have their physiological benefits, but from a mental and emotional emotional standpoint, magnesium, taurine, definitely two non-negotiables there. Next up, we have a high quality of omega-3. The reason why I say high quality is because you get omega-3 is one of these supplements that every cunt and their dog should be taking it. I don't care who you are, where you are in your life, you will benefit massively from taking an omega-3 supplement. However, there's a lot of shite out there. Okay, do not take omega-6, 9, because if you're eating like an adult, you'll get plenty of that. Making sure that it's a high quality omega-3 supplement from a high quality, reputable supplement brand, because you get a lot of shite out there in supermarkets, Holland and Barrett, etc., that are completely underdosed, and you'll have to take about 12 capsules a day just to get a sufficient amount in. This is obviously going to help with bone health, heart health, cognitive ability as well. And it's a no-brainer. And I would say yes, there are maybe some mental benefits from the cognitive ability side of things, but from a physical standpoint, it's more health related than anything. Lastly, from supplementation, and this is a little bit of an optional one, but I think if you're someone who's living in the UK, like again, everyone should be taking it, especially menopausal women whose body are in decline. That's a vitamin D3 and K2. So these are, in a nutshell, two supplements put into one, and they work synergistically. When you include a vitamin D supplement and a vitamin K supplement separately or independently, they obviously do something, but you don't get that much bang for buck. Whereas when you include them and they work synergistically, they bounce off one another. So you include the vitamin K2 and it allows you to absorb more of the vitamin D3 and transport it to the right places in your body. So as we live in the UK, or if you live in the UK, you're watching this, it's dark as fuck all the time. It's very, very grey. We get about a half hour of sunlight per day. As a result, we're all fucking miserable. But also as a result, it's why exactly we're so pasty white as well. But if we think about this from a health perspective as well, like vitamin D from the sun is essential. And if you are living in somewhere like certain parts of America or fucking Thailand, Australia, wherever it is where it's sunny pretty much 99% of the time, even when it's raining, you don't need to take this. But if you're living in the UK, it's going to have its benefits in terms of a mental, physical, emotional standpoint. It will help with recovery, it'll help with performance, it'll help with skincare is actually another one. But if we think about all the sort of benefits behind vitamin D, pair that with K2, and it just allows your body to soak up more of that and then transport it to the places that need it the most. Again, it's a little bit more of an optional one. It's just basically as your body is in decline, if you're menopausal, this is just going to help keep on top of the things that are in decline. But yeah, those are just 5 considerations, I guess, for any female who's not just 40 years old, but perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal. You're looking to either maintain your physique or continue to lose body fat, or just keep on top of your health, to be fairly honest. Even just live a healthy lifestyle. These are 5 things that I would definitely prioritize with your lifestyle without overcomplicating it, with keeping things like fairly stress-free and simple and easy to follow. A high protein, high fiber diet, low volume, high intensity, high level of effort strength training program. Get strong as fuck in a nutshell. Prioritizing high intensity interval training with your cardio, doing that maybe a few times a week. Prioritize your sleep management and stress management, and then including some supplementations like magnesium, taurine, a high quality omega-3, and vitamin D3 and K2. Okay. Hopefully you found this useful. If you have any questions, anything at all, fire them in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.